Good evening, my name is Sawyer Sewell, and I am the Salutatorian of Sampson High School class of 2024. First, I'd like to thank Miss Birdsong for not only caring about Sampson, but caring for all the seniors in the county, preparing us for the future in the real world. Thank you, Mr. Peacock and Mr. Littleton, for doing an amazing job as principals. I should know I've had about 5 in my high school career. I'd like to thank the teachers and coaches for putting up with us and our attitude and keeping your composure most of the time as you made us better. I want to give a big thanks to the custodians for keeping our campus clean and making it shine almost as bright as yourself. Thank you to our lunch ladies for always making the Tiger Den Cafe a warm and welcoming place. I'd like to thank my family for always being there with love and support. I'd like to thank my parents, Jonathan and Nicole, for always being there and showing me the way through actions and words, sometimes forcefully, but I'm even more grateful for those moments because without them, I wouldn't be here giving this speech. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my siblings, Xander, Fisher, Vivian. You don't know it, but maybe one day you'll understand. You guys really saved my life this year. And I can only pray to be the big brother you guys deserve. I made so many memories on this football field. As a member of the band, I've performed several times. I've been crowned as homecoming king on this field. I played 1 year of football, and I've ended high school with 2 years as mascot. Surprisingly, being tackled more times as mascot than playing football. And now, as my last memory in high school, I'm proud to be able to give you all this speech. All our lives, people have told us that we live in a small town. We go to a small school, and our class is rather small. But just because you come from a small town doesn't mean you have to make your dreams small, too. I stand before you today as Salutatorian. And when people look at me, they see my cords, stoles, and titles that I hold, and they may expect greatness out of me. But after today, these titles and awards are in the past and forgotten, except by my mother. She'll have them in a shadow box by the end of the week. And while these people look at me on the stage, they may look upon you guys as graduates. But as I look upon you guys, I see something so much more important. I see an artist who can never figure out math. I see an entrepreneur who never cared about science or history. I see an athlete whose physical performance will always be more important than a grade in any class. Just because you aren't giving a speech doesn't mean that you aren't successful. High school is a place to learn and grow, not a place to stay. As I was writing this speech, I had so much I wanted to say that I could talk for an hour. When I was told there was a 10-minute maximum, I panicked a little bit. I had so many things I wanted to say, and you all know how much of a talker I am. But out of all the things I plan to say, I wanted you all to hear this. Last week, some of us went to Disney World, and they have a lot of rides. And as exciting as Tron was, as terrifying as the Tower of Terror was, my favorite ride had to have been the Carousel of Progress. Now, I'm sure some of you have never heard of the Carousel of Progress, but listen to this. After walking around Disney World about 5 miles on a hot day, Carousel of Progress had a 0-minute wait. And you go into an air-conditioned room for 20 minutes, sit in theater chairs, and watch robots portray the progression of America. Starting back when America was just a newly found land run by pilgrims to the powerhouse of the country it is today. But the reason I love it so much is because of the 20-minute power nap I get every time to recharge my battery and go back to enjoying the fun parts of Disney. But I really want to focus on the word progress. That's what's important. When we start our journey through success, we often look in the future. We look for what we want to be, but all that shows us is what we aren't. We get discouraged and sometimes we just stop, never achieving enough of what we want. We look for perfection, but guys, we will never be perfect. They say the man who loves walking the walk will walk further than the man who loves the destination. So fall in love with the journey and don't give up on the progress. Because if you look at all the people who made themselves successful, the one thing they have in common is that they never gave up. Throughout this year, I realized that I'm getting older. And so to ignore that feeling, I tried searching for things to give me a feeling of nostalgia and make me feel young again. I went through my old toy box, I read through the books I used to read, but what I found most helpful was rewatching the movies from my childhood. And as I was watching these movies, I found deeper meanings in them than I did as a child. I came across one movie, and it said, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." And I think that is a valuable lesson for all of us to learn. And I expect nothing less from Pokemon to teach us that lesson. Life isn't about how many years you live, but how you live in those years. I want to leave you guys with one last story. I'm the type of guy to really mean what I say and only say it when it's important. For example, if I say I'm starving, I can eat anything and everything in front of me. If I say I'm tired, I could quite literally fall down to the ground and take a nap. And if I say that I love you, then I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. For the longest time, I only said I love you to my family and a few close friends, and I hated it being such a big thing at school. Random people in the hallway would walk up to me and say, "Sawyer, I love you, man." And I would always give them the same answer. I would laugh, smirk, and shrug sometimes, but I would never say it back and just keep walking. For so long, I did this. And one day, I'll never forget, last year on a football Friday, as hectic as those moments were, I remember a little boy coming up to me. Walking in front of the gym, he comes up to me and says, "Sawyer, I love you." And this wasn't his first time, so like every other time, I just laughed and kept walking. A few days later, that little boy, J.P. Howardson, passed away. And when I got the news, I immediately got flooded with the regret of knowing that I never told him that I loved him, and that I'll never have the chance to. I learned that tomorrow is never promised, and life is too short to leave things unsaid. Now I've turned myself into the guy walking in the hallways saying I love you, and even though I say it so much more, I never decrease its value. Because at the end of the day, everyone deserves to be loved. So if no one has told you today, and you don't think anyone does, know this. I love you, I'm proud of you, and I pray every day that you become successful and you achieve your wildest and biggest dreams. Go Tigers, and good night.